So the Washington Wizards are an interesting team to watch this offseason as they have a couple of expiring contracts, really a few expiring contracts of players that could be valuable to a contending team, if not very valuable to a contending team, as the Wizards are still a team that's in the midst of their rebuild, if not still tanking. And so for them, they could be able to move off from these guys and be able to get assets in return, get draft capital in return. And there's an interesting mock trade that I came across today that I think makes a ton of sense. This was made on Twitter by a fellow Khris Middleton supporter that I follow, and he made a very good mock trade right here that I think makes a ton of sense for both sides, the Philadelphia 76ers and the Washington Wizards. And so for the Wizards, what they're doing here is they're taking on Paul George's contract from the Philadelphia 76ers, and they're going to be unloading Khris Middleton, Marcus Smart's expiring deals for a team that right now the Washington Wizards aren't looking to compete really, and they're going to be able to get draft capital and move up in the draft in return. And so for the Wizards, it's pretty straightforward as to why you would do this. You get to move up to the third spot. A lot of people think that like the top three is really where you want to be in this draft. And then you also get a couple second rounders in turn. So you're basically moving up 3 spots in this draft, which could be a huge deal to the Washington Wizards. And then you're getting a couple second round picks as well. And just in return for taking on Paul George's contract, which probably isn't that big of a deal to the Wizards because they're feeling like this year, next year, even the year after that, we're not going to be in any type of contending mode. Maybe by the last year of Paul George's deal, we'll be trying to, be a good team, but we're not going to be like ready to win a championship. We're just that far away. And so they're able to get potentially a franchise-altering player. If they see a guy in the top 3 that they're in love with, they might feel like that could change the outlook of their franchise moving forward by moving up 3 spots. And then you get a couple other second rounders just to sweeten the deal. And then for the 76ers, to me, this just seems like a home run move because right now you're kind of saddled with some bad contract situations with Embiid on a huge contract and this guy that you don't know how much longer you can rely on him for. And then Paul George as well as a guy that right now the Clippers look like geniuses for moving off him when they did. Was very underwhelming to say the least his first year there. And at his age, it's probably not going to be getting much better. So you're able to move off of him right now without giving up too much, just a couple of second rounders, and you move down 3 spots for a team that already has Tyrese Maxey, already has Jared McCain, already has Quentin Grimes, who you just brought in, to where you feel like you have enough young stuff to work with where moving down a little bit in the draft might not be the biggest deal for you. But if you're the 76ers, you're still trying to contend while moving off Paul George's contract. And for the Sixers, I actually think that this makes them a better team right now. Like, I think that Khris Middleton and Marcus Smart is better than Paul George. And then I think that Rashawn Holmes is better than Andre Drummond right now. So I think that this makes the 76ers better right now. And then next offseason, when you look at all the contracts they're bringing in, these are expiring deals. So this basically opens up like $50 million to spend next offseason. And so I think that this is like a home run for both sides. So I think that this is something to look out for. Definitely look out for both these teams in general. Daryl Morey is always a wheeling and dealing type of guy, and the Wizards are a team that, like I said, has these particularly or potentially valuable salary dump guys that they'd be looking to get rid of, or guys that are just on 1-year expiring contracts that are very tradable, where you see some teams have expiring contracts of guys that nobody would really want, like a Kristaps Porzingis. People would want Khris Middleton on a 1-year deal, maybe not for that price tag, but they'd rather Khris Middleton for 1 year on that price tag than Paul George for 3 years on $51 million. And so I like this deal a lot. I think this allows the Wizards to potentially get a franchise-altering piece at the 3rd pick in the draft. The Sixers stay in the top 6. They're still at the 6th pick in the draft. They get better this year, and then they get a lot more room for Daryl Morey to operate in future off seasons by getting off Paul George. And you could potentially see the Sixers then making other moves, maybe making a Jared McCain move or Quentin Grimes move because you're a little heavy in the backcourt. But either way, the 76ers next year, their outlook would be looking pretty dang nice with maybe Maxey, Grimes, Smart. Actually, I don't know. Maxey, Smart, Middleton. I don't know. The power forward spot would have to be a little bit iffy, but you got Embiid at the 5, and then you have McCain and Grimes potentially off the bench, or maybe you have Marcus Smart coming off the bench. Either way, I think that allows you to have a lot of interchangeable championship pieces. You just maybe need to get a little bit more in the front court, but I think that this would be a great deal for both sides. But let me know what you all think. Drop a comment, hit that like, and subscribe, please.